The distress beacon was weak, almost imperceptible beneath the electromagnetic interference that saturated Sector 7 of the Kronos mining installation. Lieutenant Marcus Chen had been doing routine perimeter sweeps for 6 hours, searching through the wreckage of what used to be one of humanity's most productive exoplanetary operations. The explosion 3 days ago had torn through the facility like the wrath of an angry god, killing hundreds and trapping countless more beneath tons of collapsed infrastructure. Most rescue teams had pulled back to the safer zones. The outer sectors were deemed too unstable, too dangerous, too unlikely to contain survivors. But Marcus had never been good at following conventional wisdom. He'd lost too many people by playing it safe. Lost his younger brother in a transport crash because they'd waited for optimal conditions instead of launching immediately. He wouldn't make that mistake again. So when his scanner picked up that faint, irregular pulse, he didn't radio it in. He just went. The terrain was hostile. Jagged metal debris jutted from cracked earth like broken teeth. The atmosphere was barely breathable, thick with particulate matter that clogged filters and burned lungs. Marcus's hazard suit was already showing yellow warnings about air quality and structural integrity. He had maybe 2 hours before he'd need to turn back or risk becoming another casualty statistic. The beacon led him deeper into a collapsed section that used to be residential quarters. Before the explosion, this area housed the facility's support staff, technicians, administrators, families. Now it was just rubble and twisted metal, and the acrid smell of burned composite materials. Marcus climbed over a fallen support beam, and that's when he heard it. Not the beacon. A voice. Small, high-pitched, desperate. Human. Human, please. Are you there? He froze, scanner sweeping for the source. There. Thermal signature. Small. Juvenile. 30 meters ahead, partially concealed by a collapsed wall section. Marcus activated his comm. This is Lieutenant Chen. I've got a potential survivor, juvenile, Sector 7 Delta. Requesting immediate backup. The response was immediate and disappointing. Negative, Lieutenant. Sector 7 Delta is red zone. Structural collapse imminent. Evacuate immediately. Marcus looked at his scanner. At the small heat signature that represented a living being trapped in hell. Yeah, he muttered. About that. He cut the comm and started moving. The voice called out again, closer now. Please. My mother, she's hurt. She can't move. The words were in standard, but the accent was wrong. Not human. Marcus rounded the collapsed wall and saw him. A child, but not human. The boy was maybe 4 feet tall, bipedal but distinctly alien. His skin was a deep teal color, marked with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with his obvious distress. He had 4 arms, 2 larger primary limbs, and 2 smaller secondary, ones that clutched at his chest. His eyes were huge, multifaceted like an insect's, but somehow expressive in their terror. He wore torn clothing that might once have been colorful, but was now stained with dust and something that might have been blood. The child saw Marcus and rushed forward, stumbling over debris. You came. You're human. You can help. Please, my mother, she's trapped and I can't get her out, and she's not talking anymore. And Marcus dropped to one knee, making himself less threatening. Slow down. What's your name? The child's breathing was rapid, panicked. My name is Kess. My mother is Mira. We lived in the residential block. When the explosion happened, she pushed me under the desk, and then everything fell and she's under the wall, and I tried to lift it, but I'm not strong enough. And Marcus raised a hand gently. Kess, I'm Lieutenant Marcus Chen. Show me where she is. Relief flooded the child's face so completely that Marcus felt his chest tighten. This way. Please hurry. She stopped talking an hour ago. Kess led him through the ruins with the kind of sure-footedness that came from desperate familiarity. He'd clearly been trying to rescue his mother for hours, maybe longer, exploring every possible angle of approach. The debris field was a maze of collapsed walls, fallen ceiling panels, and fractured support structures. Marcus's suit sensors screamed warnings about instability, about toxic gas pockets, about the very real possibility that the entire section could collapse at any moment. He ignored them all. They reached what had once been a living quarters module. The walls had pancaked, crushing everything inside to maybe 3 feet of clearance. Kess pointed with all 4 arms at a gap in the rubble. She's in there, under the support column. Marcus activated his helmet light and peered into the darkness. He could see her, an adult of the same species as Kess, her larger frame pinned beneath what looked like a steel I-beam. Her bioluminescent patterns were dim, barely visible. Her breathing was shallow. He couldn't tell how badly she was injured, but it was obvious she couldn't move. How long has she been trapped? Marcus asked. Since the explosion. 3 days ago. We had some water in the emergency kit, but that ran out yesterday. 3 days. No food. Minimal water. Trapped under crushing weight in toxic air. Most humans wouldn't survive that. Marcus had no idea what the physiology of Kessa's species was like, but the fact that she was still alive was remarkable. He examined the structural situation. The I-beam was part of a larger support framework that had collapsed in a specific pattern. If he moved it wrong, the entire thing would come down on all of them. If he used his suit's enhanced strength wrong, he'd crush her trying to save her. And if he did nothing, she'd die within hours. Maybe less. Can you lift it? Kess asked. His voice was so small, so hopeful, that Marcus wanted to promise him yes. Wanted to guarantee that everything would be fine. But he'd learned a long time ago that lying to children, even to protect them, was worse than hard truths. I don't know, he said honestly. But I'm going to try everything I can. Kess nodded, trying to be brave. She told me to run. When it started collapsing, she told me to save myself. But I couldn't leave her. Marcus looked at the child. At the determination in those alien eyes. You did the right thing. Staying with her. Keeping her company. That takes courage. He started working. First, he needed to stabilize the surrounding structure. He used support jacks from his emergency kit, telescoping poles that could be wedged into place to prevent further collapse. Kess watched intently, occasionally handing him tools before Marcus asked for them. The kid was smart, observant, learning the patterns of what Marcus needed. You're good at this, Marcus commented as Kess handed him the right size bolt without prompting. My mother taught me. She's an engineer. Designs life support systems. She always said that everyone should know basic rescue procedures because you never know when you'll be the only help available. Smart woman. The best. Kess's voice broke slightly. She has to be okay. She has to. Marcus didn't make promises. Just kept working. The stabilization took an hour. Precious time that Mira might not have. But rushing would guarantee failure. Marcus finally had enough support structure in place that he felt reasonably confident the ceiling wouldn't come down on them. Reasonably. Now came the hard part. He examined the I-beam again. It was wedged at an angle, pinning Myra's lower body, but not crushing her completely. If he could lift 1 and even 6 inches, she might be able to pull herself free. If her body still responded. If she had the strength. If a dozen other variables went right. Marcus activated his suit's enhanced strength mode. Servos whined to life. Power cells that were already depleted from the long rescue operation drained faster. He had maybe 5 minutes of enhanced strength before his suit completely died. Kess, Marcus said, when I lift this, I need you to pull your mother out. Can you do that? The child's eyes widened. I'll try. You'll do more than try. Marcus met his gaze. Your mother needs you. You're going to save her. Understand? Something in Marcus's tone seemed to steady Kess. The child nodded firmly. I'll save her. Good. Marcus positioned himself, hands gripping the I-beam. On 3. 1, 2, 3. He lifted. His suit's servo screamed. The I-beam resisted, held by its own weight and the friction of debris. Marcus's muscles burned even with the suit assistance. Power warnings flashed across his visor. He growled and lifted harder. The beam moved. 1 inch. 2. 3. Kess didn't hesitate. The child scrambled into the gap, all 4 arms grabbing his mother. He pulled with everything he had. Myra's body shifted, moved. Her bioluminescent patterns flickered slightly. She was alive. Barely. 4 inches. 5. Kess pulled harder, making sounds of effort that were heartbreaking in their desperation. Almost, Marcus grunted. Almost there. 6 inches. Myra's legs came free. Kess dragged her backward with strength that shouldn't have been possible for a child his size. The moment she was clear, Marcus dropped the beam. It crashed down with a sound like thunder. His suit's power cells hit critical. Enhanced strength mode shut down. His legs nearly buckled. But Mira was free. Kess was already checking her, small hands patting her face. Mother, wake up. Please. Marcus crawled over, exhausted, and ran his scanner over Myra's body. Compound fracture in the left leg. Multiple contusions. Severe dehydration. Possible internal injuries. But alive. Her vital signs were weak, but present. She's alive, Marcus said. Kess looked up, tears streaming down his face. Really? Really? Marcus pulled out his emergency medical kit, started administering 4 fluids, basic stabilization. Her injuries are serious but treatable. We need to get her to medical. How? Kes asked. This whole sector is unstable. My ship is 2 kilometers from here, Marcus said. I'm going to carry her. Kes stared. You do that? For us? You're not even our species. Marcus paused, considering the question. Considered his brother, dying in that transport crash while rescuers waited for optimal conditions. Considered every person he'd lost because someone decided they weren't worth the risk. Then he looked at Kes, at this brave child who'd stayed with his mother against all logic, and he knew exactly why he'd do this. Because it's the right thing to do, Marcus said simply. Species doesn't matter. You needed help. I can give it. That's enough. He fashioned a makeshift stretcher from salvage materials and carefully loaded Mira onto it. Kes helped, following Marcus's instructions precisely. The kid would make a good medic someday, if he got the chance. Marcus lifted the stretcher. His muscles protested immediately. His suit was dead weight now, no power assistance remaining. He'd be carrying Myra's weight plus his equipment through 2 kilometers of hostile terrain on his own strength. Can you make it? Kes asked. Have to, Marcus said. Lead the way. Show me the safest path. The journey was nightmare. Every step felt like Marcus was carrying a building. His legs screamed. His back threatened to give out. Twice he had to stop and rest, setting the stretcher down carefully while he caught his breath. Kes stayed close, watching his mother anxiously, occasionally holding her hand. You're really strong, Kes said during one rest stop. For a human. Marcus laughed breathlessly. I'm really stubborn. There's a difference. My mother says stubbornness is just determination that other people don't like. Your mother is wise. She also says that the best people are the ones who help when it's difficult, not just when it's easy. Marcus looked at the unconscious form of Mira. I'd like to meet her properly. When she wakes up, she'll like you, Kes said with certainty. She always says character is proven in crisis. You proved yours. They reached Marcus's ship as his legs were giving out. He managed to get Mira into the medical bay before collapsing. Kes immediately started operating the medical systems with a familiarity that suggested his mother had taught him well. The automated systems took over, stabilizing Mira, treating her injuries. Marcus just lay on the deck, breathing hard, every muscle in his body on fire. You should rest, Kes said. You did too much. Marcus waved vaguely. Just need a minute. Can I ask you something? Anything, kid. Why did you come? Everyone else evacuated. The whole sector was declared too dangerous. Why did you come anyway? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Because I know what it's like to lose someone, because help didn't come in time. Because I swore I'd never let that happen again if I could prevent it. And because when someone calls for help, you answer. Even if it's hard. Even if it's dangerous. You answer. Kes was quiet. Then, softly, thank you. For answering. Marcus managed to sit up. Looked at the medical readout showing Myra's improving vitals. Welcome. The ship's medical systems worked for hours. Marcus reported in, gave his location, requested emergency medical transport. The response was complicated. Command was simultaneously furious at his violation of evacuation orders and impressed that he'd successfully rescued 2 survivors from a red zone. He'd face a disciplinary hearing. But he'd also probably get a commendation. Military logic. Mira woke after 6 hours. Her eyes opened, glowing softly, and immediately sought out her son. Kes was at her side instantly. Mother, I'm here. You're safe. Human saved you. Myra's gaze shifted to Marcus. He was sitting nearby, monitoring the medical displays. Human, she rasped. Her voice was rough from days without water. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, he introduced himself. You have brave son. The bravest, Mira agreed. Her smaller arms reached out, and Kes took her hands. He stayed with me. The whole time. I couldn't leave you, Kes said. You taught me that family doesn't abandon each other. Mira smiled weakly. I taught you well. Her attention returned to Marcus. You risked your life. For strangers. For aliens. Marcus shrugged. Someone needed help. I could provide it. Simple as that. Nothing about what you did was simple, Mira said. You carried me 2 kilometers. Through unstable terrain. With no suit power. That is not simple. That is heroic. I was just stubborn, Marcus said, echoing his earlier conversation with Kes. Myra's laugh was painful but genuine. I like this human. We should keep him. Kes lit up. Really? Can we? Marcus blinked, surprised. I'm not sure what you mean. In our culture, Mira explained, there is concept of Keda, chosen family, not blood relation, but bonds forged through sacrifice and loyalty. You saved my life, protected my son, carried me to safety when you could have left us. By our ways, you are Keda. If you accept. Marcus had no idea what to say. He'd expected gratitude, maybe friendship, but this felt deeper, more significant. What does that mean? Practically? Mira considered. It means if you need help, we help. If you face danger, we stand with you. If you are alone, you have family. Kes was nodding eagerly. It means you're part of us. And we're part of you. Marcus felt something tight in his chest. Something he hadn't felt since his brother died. The possibility of connection, of belonging. He looked at Kes, who'd shown remarkable courage. At Mira, who even injured and weak was clearly a strong person. I'd be honored, he said quietly. Kes made a sound of joy and immediately hugged Marcus, all four arms wrapping around him. Thank you. Thank you for saving her. Thank you for staying. Thank you for being here. Marcus hugged back, awkward but genuine. You made it easy, kid. You were brave when it mattered most. The medical transport arrived the next day. Mira was transferred to the station hospital. Her injuries would require surgery and months of rehabilitation, but she'd recover fully. Kes refused to leave Marcus's side during the entire process, following him everywhere. The kid asked endless questions about humans, about Earth, about Marcus's career, about everything. Marcus found himself answering patiently, enjoying the curiosity. When they finally arrived at the station, separated for debriefing, Kes looked panicked. You'll come back? You won't disappear? Marcus knelt down. I promise. Keda means family. Family doesn't disappear. Kes nodded, trying to be brave. Okay, I trust you. That trust felt like both a gift and a responsibility. The disciplinary hearing was exactly as bureaucratic and pointless as Marcus expected. He was officially reprimanded for violating evacuation orders and endangering himself unnecessarily. He was also officially commended for extraordinary rescue actions and awarded a medal for valor. The two canceled each other out paperwork-wise, which was apparently the best possible outcome. What mattered more were the unofficial conversations. His commander pulled him aside after the hearing. That was reckless, she said, but also exactly what I'd expect from you. Can't decide if that's a compliment, Marcus admitted. It's an observation. She studied him. This family you've adopted. You're serious about it? Marcus nodded. They're good people. The kid especially. He deserves better than being an orphan because no one wanted to take a risk. The commander sighed. You're going to complicate your life. Probably, Marcus agreed. Worth it though. Over the following weeks, Marcus visited Mira and Kes daily. Watched Myra's recovery. Helped Kes with his studies. The kid was frighteningly smart, absorbing information like a sponge. He was particularly interested in rescue operations, medical procedures, crisis response. Following his mother's footsteps into engineering and life support systems, but also developing his own interests. Kes started asking about joining the military, about training as a rescue specialist, about following Marcus's path. He's too young, Mira said during one visit, but he idolizes you. He talks about you constantly, about how brave you were, how strong, how you didn't give up even when it would have been easier. Marcus felt uncomfortable with the hero worship. I just did what needed doing. That's exactly why he admires you, Mira said. You don't see yourself as special. You just see what needs to be done and do it. That's real character. That's what I want him to learn. 3 months after the rescue, Mira was discharged. She'd regained full mobility and been cleared to return to work. But the mining facility was gone, destroyed beyond repair. The company had dissolved operations on that world. Refugees were being relocated to other facilities, other worlds. Mira and Kes were being offered placement on a frontier colony, reasonable work, decent housing. But it would be far from human space. Far from Marcus. The night before their scheduled departure, Marcus took them to dinner. A small restaurant on the station that served food compatible with both human and their species' dietary needs. Kes was unusually quiet, pushing his food around his plate. You okay, kid? Marcus asked. Kes looked up. I don't want to go. I want to stay here. With you. Marcus glanced at Mira. She looked troubled. Kes, she said gently, we've discussed this. Lieutenant Chen has his duties. His life. We cannot impose. It's not an imposition, Marcus said. Both Mira and Kes looked at him in surprise. I've been thinking, Marcus continued. About Keda. About what it means. About what I want. He looked at Kes. I'm officially putting in for adoption. If you're willing. Kes's eyes went wide. Adoption? Human legal adoption, Marcus confirmed. You'd be my son. Legally, officially. You'd take my name. Have all the rights and protections that entails. He looked at Mira. If you approve. I know he's young. I know I'm not his biological parent. But I meant what I said about family. Mira was crying. Happy tears by the bioluminescent patterns that indicated joy. You would do this. Take responsibility for raising him? Face the judgment from those who don't understand? Marcus nodded. I've faced worse judgment for worse reasons. Kes is amazing. Smart, brave, kind. Any parent would be lucky to have him. And honestly, I could use family too. I've been alone too long. Kes launched himself at Marcus, hugging him with all four arms. Yes. Yes, I want that. Please. Mira was laughing and crying simultaneously. Then I give my blessing. With joy and gratitude. You will be good father. I don't know about good, Marcus said, but I'll try my best. That's all anyone can ask, Mira said. The legal process was complicated. Cross-species adoption wasn't unprecedented, but it was rare enough that the paperwork was a nightmare. Marcus had to prove financial stability, appropriate housing, understanding of Kes's species' specific needs. He had to undergo psychological evaluation, background checks, interviews. Kes had to confirm his wishes multiple times to multiple officials. And Mira had to navigate complex custody laws since she wasn't giving up her parental rights, just sharing them. But 6 months later, it was official. Kes Chun was legally Marcus's adopted son. The ceremony was small but meaningful. Marcus's squadron attended. Mira was there beaming. And Kes wore a small uniform, honorary cadet designation, standing straight and proud. When the judge pronounced them family, Kes hugged Marcus and whispered, "Thank you, Dad. Thank you for coming when I called." Marcus hugged back, feeling something he'd thought lost forever. Purpose. Connection. Love. Thank you for giving me a reason to. Life changed. Marcus modified his living quarters to accommodate Kes. Learned about his species' dietary needs, sleep cycles, cultural practices. Kes adapted to human customs, learned English idioms, developed a love for human sports and music. They were an odd pair. A battle-worn human lieutenant and a young alien genius. But they worked. Mira remained part of their lives, visiting regularly, taking Kes for weekends, maintaining her role as mother. The arrangement was unconventional but functional. Kes had 2 parents who loved him. 2 homes. 2 cultures he can navigate. Marcus learned patience he didn't know he possessed. Learned to help with homework that involved mathematics he barely understood. Learned to navigate the social complexity of raising a child of a different species in a predominantly human environment. There were challenges. Other humans who didn't understand, who questioned the adoption, who made comments. Marcus learned to ignore most of it. Learned to educate when possible. Learned to protect Kes from the worst of it. And Kes thrived. He excelled academically, made friends, joined youth programs, developed confidence that had been shattered by the trauma of the mining disaster. Years passed. Kes grew, became a teenager, then a young adult. His bioluminescent patterns became more complex, indicating emotional and intellectual maturity. He remained fascinated by rescue operations, by helping people, by making a difference. When he turned 18 by human reckoning, he enlisted, followed Marcus into the service, became a rescue specialist, one of the first of his species to serve in that capacity. Marcus watched his son graduate from training with pride, so intense it hurt. Watched him save his first life. Watched him grow into exactly the kind of person the galaxy needed. During Kes's graduation speech, he talked about the day his mother was trapped. About calling for help and actually getting it. About a human who came when no one else would. Who risked everything for strangers. Who taught him that family was choice and action, not just biology. My father, Kes said, looking directly at Marcus in the audience, taught me that heroism isn't about being fearless. It's about being afraid and helping anyway. It's about seeing someone in need and responding, even when it's hard. He saved my mother's life. And in doing so, he saved mine too. Not just physically, but in every way that matters. He showed me what it means to be truly human. The crowd applauded. Marcus tried not to cry and failed completely. Mira, sitting beside him, squeezed his hand. You raised him well, she said. We raised him well, Marcus corrected. Couldn't have done it without you. She smiled. Kata. Chosen family. The best kind. After the ceremony, Kes found Marcus. They stood together, father and son despite different species, united by the choice they made years ago in the rubble of a disaster. Dad, Kes said, "I want to ask you something." "Anything, kid. Do you ever regret it? Coming to find us? Risking your life? Adopting me?" Marcus thought about it, really considered the question, thought about the complications, the challenges, the judgment, the difficulty of raising a child alone while maintaining a military career. Then he thought about Kes's first day of school, about teaching him to ride a hoverbike, about late-night conversations about life and purpose and hope, about watching him grow into someone extraordinary. Not for a second, Marcus said, "Best decision I ever made. Even with everything it cost? Especially because of what it cost. Because it taught me something I'd forgotten. That sacrifice for people you love isn't a burden. It's a privilege." Kes hugged him. "Thank you. For everything. For hearing my call. For saving my mother. For choosing me. For being my dad." Marcus hugged back. "Thank you for trusting me. For letting me be part of your life. For teaching me what family really means." They stood there for a long moment. A human and an alien. A father and a son. Proof that family was whatever you chose to make it. That species meant nothing compared to love. That sometimes the most important choice you make is simply choosing to answer when someone calls for help. Marcus thought back to that day in the rubble. To hearing a child's desperate voice crying for someone to save his mother. To making the choice to respond despite every logical reason not to. And he knew, with absolute certainty, that if he could go back and do it all again, he wouldn't change a single thing. Because sometimes the hardest choices lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes risking everything gains you something worth more than safety. Sometimes a call for help in the darkness leads to finding family you never knew you needed. Years later, after Marcus retired, after Kes had his own children, they would sit together and tell the story. About the mining disaster. About the desperate search. About a child who refused to abandon his mother, and a soldier who refused to abandon either of them. And people would listen, inspired by the reminder that heroism wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic speeches. It was about simple choices. About hearing someone call for help and answering. About seeing someone in need and responding. About choosing to care even when it's difficult. About building family through action and sacrifice. About proving that the bonds we choose can be stronger than the bonds we're born with. And in those moments, telling that story surrounded by family they'd built together, Marcus and Kes would look at each other and know the truth. That sometimes the greatest adventure starts with the simplest choice. The choice to help. To care. To answer when someone calls. To be there when it matters most. And everything beautiful in their lives had grown from that one moment in the rubble when Marcus heard a child crying for help and decided that some things were worth any risk. Underscore 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 underscore. If this story touched your heart, drop a comment below. Tell me about a time someone answered your call for help, or when you chose to help despite the cost. Share your story. Let's celebrate the people who answer when others need them most. Hit that like button if you believe that family is built through choice and action, not just biology. If you think heroism is found in everyday decisions to help others. If you want more stories that remind us what really matters. Subscribe to this channel for more incredible tales of humanity's finest moments. Stories about courage, sacrifice, and the bonds that connect us across any distance, any difference, any obstacle. There's so much more to discover here, and I promise each story will remind you why humanity's spirit is truly exceptional. Check out the other videos on my channel. Each one explores different facets of human courage, different ways we prove that caring for others makes us stronger, not weaker. You'll find stories that inspire, challenge, and remind you of what we're capable of when we choose compassion over convenience. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of this community that values kindness, courage, and family in all its forms. And remember, when you hear someone calling for help, answer. You never know what beautiful things might grow from that one choice. You never know whose life you might save, or how they might save yours in return. Until next time, stay brave. Stay compassionate, and always answer the call.